Here's your news for July 26, 2020. And your headlines for today include Rey Mysterio coming close to finalizing new WWE contract. Vince McMahon had WWE superstar in his office every week before removing them from television. Legendary TV personality Regis Philbin passes away. WWE issues statement. Unexpected return from a former WWE superstar. Shocking stories emerge from the release of Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson. Is WWE going to punish the NXT superstar for leaking the match result? WWE planning to book multiple Summerslam matches on Raw next week, and more. We are kicking off today with news from Rey Mysterio as the former world champion is reportedly close to finalizing a deal. Mysterio has been working without a contract for quite some time, including working the match where he lost an eye at Extreme Rules, and it's been previously reported that the WWE's Ultimate Underdog was denied a pay raise by Vince McMahon. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, though, Mysterio and the company are not far from a deal and will be meeting soon to finalize a contract. There's plenty of reasons why Rey would want to stay, such as to help his son Dominic, whilst WWE would obviously rather have the popular star with them rather than AEW. Rey's son played a big role in his recent feud with Seth Rollins, and if the older Mysterio does re-sign with WWE, fans could see Dominic on their screens a lot more from now on. Now, we all know that Vince McMahon is a busy man, and though he may not have time for everyone, he apparently had plenty of time for Lio Rush. While speaking to Fightful, the man of the hour said the chairman had plenty of time for him during Rush's partnership with Bobby Lashley, saying, "It was literally his project. It's his little baby. It was his vision. But to answer your question, on if I talked to Vince, every single week I was in Vince's office, listening to what he wanted for that week with me and Bobby. Which is crazy because I've heard people have been in the company for a year, 2 years, and they've never had a meeting with Vince. I was in his office every week, which was insane. I would listen to podcasts all the time and hear all these crazy stories about Vince and some of the stuff that he comes up with. It just sounded like a comic book or something. But actually experiencing it live, I'll never forget when he explained the whole he wanted Bobby to start bending over and me pointing at his ass. He reenacted it. He showed us what he wanted, and it was so crazy." Given the claims of backstage heat, it's interesting that Rush met so frequently with Vince, especially as he reportedly butted heads with Triple H behind the scenes. Recently, Rush has seemingly confirmed that he's going to retire from wrestling, and if that's the case, then at least he got to meet with the chairman of the board more than most superstars. We've got some sad news to report as legendary TV personality Regis Philbin has died, aged 88. Philbin, who had worked with WWE in the past, suffered a heart attack in his sleep just 1 month shy of his 89th birthday, and is perhaps best known for his morning show, Live with Regis and Kathy Lee. Several WWE superstars from The Ultimate Warrior to Steve Austin to John Cena appeared on the show, and Regis's tug-of-war with Yokozuna is still fondly remembered. In their statement, WWE highlighted Regis's work in the wrestling world, saying, "The TV icon was also a memorable presence at WrestleMania 7, where he conducted backstage interviews and provided commentary for the main event showdown between WWE Champion Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan." Regis also appeared at the historic Raw 1000, sending a classy congratulatory message to WWE. Several wrestling personalities, including Hulk Hogan, Jim Ross, and Natalya, have paid their respects to the legendary TV show host, and we'd like to offer our deepest condolences to Regis's family and friends at this tragic time. Back to Lio Rush now, and we've got more details about the supposed end of the former Cruiserweight Champion's career. During yesterday's GCW Homecoming, Rush played the handler for a doll called Yoshihiko against Joey Janela, and when Rush revealed himself by pulling off his mask, he laid out Janela in the ring with a frog splash. Rush and Janela certainly have a history as they both competed in CZW, and Janela has even called the Man of the Hour his favorite opponent. Following Rush's big reveal, GCW confirmed that the two will face off on night 2 of their homecoming, and even used the hashtag #TheFinalMatch, seemingly confirming that this will be Rush's retirement match. Rush was one of many WWE April releases, and given that he's released an album titled The Last Match, it certainly seems like today will mark the end of his wrestling career. 2 more men who were part of April's releases were Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson, and if AJ Styles is to be believed, the Good Brothers weren't on the cutting room floor until Paul Heyman pitched for them to lose their jobs. In the past, Gallows and Anderson have acknowledged that it was ultimately Vince McMahon's call that they were let go, but they have called out Heyman for allegedly lying to them. Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter has noted that there are two stories in WWE regarding what happened between Heyman and the former Raw Tag Team Champions. The first story is that it was Vince's call, though Heyman didn't fight to keep them, whilst the second is that McMahon had no plans to release Gallows and Anderson until he had a talk with Heyman, who reportedly told the boss he had no significant plans for them. Styles has said that when he questioned the ECW magnate about this, Heyman lied to him, which ultimately resulted in the Phenomenal One being moved from Raw, where Heyman was the executive director, to SmackDown. Whatever the truth may be, the fact is that there was a 90-day non-compete for the former champions, which gave Vince 3 months to change his mind, but ultimately the boss opted not to re-sign the duo, who are now doing big things in Impact Wrestling. Speaking of the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows spoke this week about his and Anderson's departure from WWE and had plenty to say about AJ Styles. Since their departure, the Phenomenal One has been vocal about how badly he feels that they were let go, and in the interview, Gallows addressed this, saying, "He said he was sorry, which he didn't have to say, and I wasn't looking for an apology from him. But it's been well documented AJ said it himself over on his streaming service that he felt responsible for us staying when we wanted to leave, as well WWE kept wanting to pile more money. That wasn't the final reason we stayed. The reason we stayed was to be there and to roll with our buddy. We ended up getting released, but I couldn't blame him for that. He couldn't see the future. He just wanted to do what was best for his friend, and that was to convince us to stay. And we ended up staying, but nobody forced us to do anything, and at the end of the day, we made that decision, right or wrong, so there is no hard feelings there at all, and AJ called me after 20 minutes when it was online, and we talked, and I told him what I'm telling you guys now. I don't fault anybody for anything that ever happened in my career, and at the end of the day, you need to look at yourself in the mirror, and this has turned into nothing but a huge positive. You can't look in the rearview mirror, you gotta keep stepping forward." Since leaving WWE, Gallows and Anderson have done plenty of big things, including filming their own Talkin' Shop-A-Mania special event, which will air on August 1st, and signing with Impact, as it seems that both men are certainly stepping forward from now on. Back to WWE now, and fans will remember that Keith Lee's historic NXT title victory was spoiled by Indus Sher's Sourav Gurjar, who posted a spoiler on Instagram. According to Fightful, Gurjar was present recently at the Performance Center and had plenty to say. As they reported, Fightful has learned that at the last set of WWE NXT tapings, a backstage meeting was held, and Indus Sher's Sourav Gurjar apologized for spoiling the results of the title for title match before it happened. It was also reported that the Performance Center's head coach Matt Bloom is a big fan of Indus Sher, and there's no significant heat on Gurjar, with no punishment expected. Indus Sher hasn't been on WWE TV for a number of weeks now, and it'll be interesting to see when the group will return after Sourav's spoiler. We are looking ahead to SummerSlam next, as the company is set to make some big announcements on next week's Raw. It's been confirmed that Randy Orton will kick off the show by announcing his next target, and it's been heavily rumored that the Legend Killer will be facing the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre at the biggest party of the summer. A tag team triple threat match will also take place, as the Viking Raiders, Andrade and Angel Garza, and Ricochet and Cedric Alexander will compete for a shot at the Raw Tag Team titles at SummerSlam. With both the Raw Women's and WWE Championships on the line during the 3-hour show, this Monday's show will be a stacked event, and will give fans a glimpse of what to expect at SummerSlam. From Raw to SmackDown now, as last week, Cesaro captured his 7th tag team title alongside new partner Shinsuke Nakamura. In the past, the Swiss Superman has teamed with many stars including Tyson Kidd and Sheamus, and in an interview this week, compared his many partners. He said, "They were all different. It's fun because it gives me a chance to adjust and be well-rounded. I like to play around whatever their strength is, and it gives me the chance to elevate or focus on a different aspect of my game." Cesaro also noted that despite being a tag veteran, he still plans on becoming a world champion, though given that it's been 8 years since his debut on the main roster, and with younger stars joining the company each year, time's running out for the Swiss Cyborg. Over to SmackDown now, and 16 years after his WWE Tough Enough debut, The Miz has spoken about the end of his career. When one fan asked The Miz when he planned to retire from the ring, the SmackDown superstar gave a simple response, saying that he'll stop whenever it stops being fun. Given that Miz is both competing in WWE and recently began hosting USA's new competition series Cannonball, it's clear he has a lot on his plate. And as long as he's enjoying himself, fans will be seeing much more of the A-lister for many years to come.